Ben Affleck, you may have heard of this guy. Apparently he's some kind of Hollywood actor. People are very excited that he's going to be the next Batman. He has been a big fundraiser politically, especially for the Democrats. But he did an interview in Playboy magazine, and it sounds like he's soured on the money in politics. Over time, I became disillusioned, mostly with the pernicious effect of money in politics. I realized it was about raising $56,000 through a couple dinners and those bundlers who bring in $1 million or $2 million. Those people are dedicated and they believe in what they're doing. I believe in why many of them are doing it. What I don't believe in is that we now have the need to do it. And for me personally, it started to feel gross. Okay, I'm pretty sure we can all get on board that. It's something we talk about here, especially at the Young Turks, all the time, money in politics, and it's a real problem. If you've lost Hollywood with money, well, that's what I'm saying. Is this a game changer? If you've lost a guy like Ben Affleck, who has raised a ton, I mean, he's pretty much one of the most outspoken celebrities they have. Sure. If you lost him, is this really a kind of sea change thing?
I'm kind of impressed that he knows the word pernicious. That's kind of cool. I mean,
how is my pronunciation?
I don't use pernicious in any sentences, really. I'm gonna have to up my game.
Yeah.
But you know, it's interesting that finally somebody like him that is very vocal speaks out about it now, because it is disgusting and gross across all spectrums. I think politics has gotten to that point where, you know, people will say, oh, Obama's back on the plane, he's almost out of office, and he's still fundraising. But it is kind of a gross, sort of slimy feeling when you know, oh, Obama's coming to Hollywood just to fundraise, just to go to a house and go home with $5 million. It's kind of like, you know, stop making traffic terrible in West LA. You know, people hate it.
And he literally did that 2 weeks ago in Beverly Hills, did a private fundraiser, and it's something like 56.
I mean, you know it's bad if you want to take a shower after you have dinner with these people because you feel so slimy.
Because you feel slimy. What do you make of this kind of thing? Because I think there's something interesting about Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, because, you know, Matt Damon's been a big proponent of public schools, but also sends his kid to private schools. So there's something like, as these guys grow up, they're learning the system is seriously broken.
And I'm glad that they are. I mean, it's taken a while, I guess, for some of this to dawn on some of the Hollywood folks about how actually wrong it is that our politics is so infused with money at every stage of the game. You know, I think that would be wonderful to get money out, but in order to get money out of our system, you have to elect people who will then be able to vote to get money out. And
term limits.
You know, there are differences about term limits. There are some problems that I have with it. You know, it tends to perpetuate the party boss system because people don't get experience and then they cannot stay in office long enough.
My husband and I had that conversation. I said four years for people in Congress. My husband goes, you know, let them have 8. They need time to do something, but then get them out.
So he would be for one election. So you get one cycle of 8 years and you can't run for re-election?
Right, because then people do, I think a lot of people get into politics wanting to make a difference. People are engaged and they are like, I can do something for my community, and they're engaged about it, but then all of a sudden they realize they get in. I think maybe like Obama might be the same way. You get in, you think, oh, I'm going to do these things, I'm going to be president, and then you realize it's the same, the cog and wheel, you know, nothing really changes, and it's all about money, and it's all about, you know, oh, well, if I want this passed, then I have to do this and this and this, and it's kind of, it isn't the ideal situation everybody thinks it's going to be when they get in, and then money is corrupt. It's like Frodo in the Ring. You're like, oh, I gotta keep the power.
But when you have term limits, or you know, that doesn't actually get money out. I mean, what you need to do is you have to be able to elect those people who will then promise and actually follow through on voting to get these changes made in the system.
Where are those people? Because we used to.
They exist, but they can't rise above the din of the money. You know, there are folks who are running in congressional districts and in school board races all around, but because money is so deeply infused, I mean, even with term limits, I don't see how that pulls it out.
Term limits, at least it's a step in the right direction that people can, you realize that they're not just going to sit there and, you know, a year before a re-election, they're just going to pander to whoever is going to give them the most money, and then they just keep doing the same things even though they promised to do something else.
Yeah, don't you guys wonder, like, when they're supposed to be working, you know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, Obama ran for re-election. That whole last year of his first term was devoted to getting re-elected. Who's running the show? I always wonder that. Like, you're supposed to have a job, I think, as a politician. You're supposed to have a job, but yet half your term ends up becoming about re-election. Even now, he's raising money. He's not running for re-election, obviously, but he's still raising money for the DNC, so it just sort of never
The crazies in the asylum are running
the
country.
Show. But seriously, why don't we ever talk about campaign finance anymore? We used to have McCain Feingold. I mean, there was things that were trying to change, but literally it's not part of the national discussion at all.
Oh, I think it's just because it's been taken over so completely. I mean, when you have the oligarchy that we have right now, I mean, I don't think anybody will disagree with me really on that. But when you have that kind of that level of oligarchy and money in politics, they've really infiltrated at all levels. You know, we have the ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, doing the template legislation that has been put throughout Republican legislatures throughout the country that have helped to cement this corporate control and this sort of the billionaires influencing pretty much everything that actually can get done because they have the money. And then you have somebody like Tom Steyer, the hedge fund billionaire, who's now decided to step in because he realizes climate change is a deeply important issue, and so he's putting his money to work. Michael Bloomberg putting his money to work. We got Bloomberg and we've got Steyer, we've got billionaire action on, their billionaire on billionaire action is what we're working on. And I don't know if that's actually going to work. If they're going to be able to get those people elected and over that hump of campaign financing to get to the congressional election so that they can vote for these things. Yeah, but
politics and politicians are all about money. Whether you're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, nothing, Green Party, whatever, it's all money, and they're all the same. I mean, people talk about Democrat and Republicans, and really when you look at on the broad spectrum, sure, maybe you're like, okay, there's differences between the two. Really, when you look at it with a microscope, there's really no difference. They're all about money. They all are rich. They're all are, you know.
Well, that also is proven all the time when you see who Wall Street gives money to. It's not that they give 80% to Republicans and 20% to Democrats. It's always around 49 and 51% because they're playing both sides.
Of course.
Constantly.
Of course. And those people all have, you know, stocks on Wall Street. I mean, you know, so it's not like the Democrats are over there going, oh no, we have no money invested in the stock market. We have no vested interest in Wall Street. Come on, they all do.
Well, I actually know some individuals who are just regular people who decided that they wanted to try. Yeah, regular people. I mean, that's what I mean. You know, middle class folks who are not wealthy, who are not folks who are billionaires or even millionaires or even thousandaires, who tried to run for Congress. And the barriers to entry are very high. Part of that is set by your state legislature. You have to have $10,000 just to file in some of these states or more. And with those kinds of barriers to entry for a regular person to then be able to rise above the din of the money that is influencing everybody else.
So it starts right there that they have to start raising that money.
To me, they're not all the same. I mean, I know people. I know physical individuals who have tried to do this, and it's extremely difficult.
So maybe the ones that rise up ultimately become all the same, but at the grassroots level, they're obviously different.
At the grassroots level, the people that we would need to get elected and in place in order to put the judges in place who say corporations are not people, in order to get, you know, the constitutional amendments, those all spin on the House of Representatives.
Yeah, okay, so final thought on this, which you just gave me a perfect segue for, is how much of this should we blame on the Supreme Court and the Citizens United ruling, because corporations can now give, they had back channel ways to do it, but now we've completely opened it up, and so should we be blaming the Supreme Court for this situation that we're in now?
Yeah, I blame everybody. You know what I mean? Government, obviously we need government for democracy and to make the laws and the rules and stuff like that. And there's so many rules and things that we have to follow and do that it just, you almost wish you could start over and just start with a clean template and say, this is what we need to do, and you don't have to do a million things to do this, or, you know, it just, I don't know, I think we need the Supreme Court, and rulings like that, you kind of shake your head and go, really? Now you're going to make it easy for corporations to do these things that they were hiding to do before? I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
Bring us home, Desi.
I think the Supreme Court is the fulcrum. You know, it is the pivot on which everything is going to turn. And, you know, they're sort of the last ditch, the wall, the guardrail, if you want to use another metaphor, that keeps us from sliding completely into complete takeover by corporations.
Whether you agree with their decisions or not.
Yeah, but so that's I think where the crux of it lies, because these people, you know, have a lifetime appointment. So it really does matter who's in the Senate to approve the person, who is the person in the presidential office to nominate the people that we're going to see. And we see the fruits of you know, Scalia and Alito and Thomas. It leaves us in a place where we are extremely vulnerable to the kinds of overtaking, the kinds of systems that overtake us, that make us in a very, very difficult place.
Maybe they need limits too.
Maybe they do. That's a whole other topic. That's a whole other topic, which we'll deal with maybe next week. We'll see.